Lee Scarf, Frank, great vids. I'll ask you something different from the norm. Who and what stars were you getting to meet?
Well, of course I met Sammy Davis Jr. They know who you are, immediately. Frank Sinatra, I know who Frank Sinatra was. I met Frank Sinatra maybe 3-4 times. Of course, I was with Tony. I just didn't walk up to him and talk to him. So anybody with Tony, he knew it had to be solid. He was a nice guy. He didn't like people bothering him, strangers. They would like sign a napkin for me. Trump, get the F out of here, he'd scream at him. Stuff like that. But then I realized why he had to do that. Because it could be very annoying. You had a conversation with somebody and these fans would come up. Even though the fan made you as famous as you are, people are very rude, very crude. So he was all right, Frank. And Joey Bishop, I seen him in there. Dean Martin, he never used to go out with these guys drinking afterwards. When he was done doing his scene with Jerry Lewis or Frank Sinatra and them, he'd go up to his room, put his pajamas on, and not drink. He wasn't an alcoholic. Watch TV. That's the kind of guy he was.
Cullotta, grab your favorite brew. Ask a question, he'll answer it for you. The mafia, the mafia, the mafia, the mafia. You better hit subscribe if you know what's good for you. Drinking a cup of coffee with Frank Cullotta. He'll tell you a lot, 'cause he's Cullotta.
Elvis Presley. My wife was in love with Elvis. She used to be a cocktail waitress serving tables, and he was on stage there. And he'd have his people go out, Elvis. And after the shows, he would invite him up to his suite. And they'd have a party. There was no bad things about it. So one particular time they seen her. So after work, she went up there with one of her girlfriends, and her father found out about it. Because he used to pick her up, Nicky. He was a half-ass gangster out of New Jersey. So Nicky went up to the room, banging on the door, embarrassed everybody. And they assured him that she was all right. But then after I married her, that's all I used to hear about was Elvis Presley, Elvis Presley. Then when I went into the witness protection program, we were living out that way, and I used to have to bring her by his mansion every friggin' week. Jesus Christ. I'd sit in the car. I wouldn't go in there, or that plane. I'd sit in the car with her cats while she was visiting his mansion. Every week. I used to have pictures of him on the refrigerator. I used to take him and hide him. He never did anything with her. She just was in love. She still loves him.
Chandler Kelly from California. If you could time travel and redo one event or period of your life, what would it be?
I probably wouldn't change hardly anything in my lifetime because I would not know anything better back then. What I would wish I would have changed if I had that opportunity or knowledge back then was having such a kind heart. My biggest mistake was feeling sorry for the underdog, meaning a guy that was had no money. Nobody wants to steal with him. They don't even want to hang with the guy because he becomes like a mooch. That's what they would call him, a mooch. But I felt sorry for these guys. They didn't. If you got to give a person an opportunity to get back on their feet. So I filled the first guy. I never forget his name was Sanchez. He was a Spanish guy, a Mexican guy, and there was very few Hispanics in the neighborhood I grew up in. So he used to hang around us guys, and he knew we were thieves. So he asked me if he could go on the route with us. That means steal. So I said, yeah, I'll talk to my partners. So I told them, and they said, nah. We don't want a stranger. What if this guy gets busted? We got to pay for his lawyers, all of us, and all of that. And I said, come on, we got to give the guy the opportunity. Well, we did. They listened to me. Take the guy in the first score. We never got to do it. We had caught a rumble. He gets caught. He don't testify on nobody but me. I get busted. And my friend said, you see? I said, I can't believe this guy's trying to help him out. It's not like I put him out there to get caught. Fortunately, back then I had a connection with the judge. So they reduced the crime from a felony to a misdemeanor. He disappeared. I had nothing to do with that. Him and his family. Back then, they moved, and I didn't. I went to jail for, I think it was back then, 10 months and 24 days. You got to do a year and a day in order to go to prison. And another time there was another guy, and then there was Sal Romano. That's the one from Bertha's. I would have never filled him in because I had a gut feeling that he was bad. And this other guy, it was about money too. No money. He rolled on me. You know, you think I'd learned my lesson by then? I still help people out. And it's something that'll probably never change. I don't want to sound like this saint, but I got to tell you this much. I always knew, way back then, even when I was 16, 17, when you got money in your pocket, you're important. Money brings strength. If you walk around and say, I only got a quarter on me or a dime or $2, who the hell wants to hang with you? You know, you're going to be all alone. So even if you didn't spend it all day long, if you walked around with $50 back then, you had a lot of money in your pocket. And then it got to be 100. That's a lot of money. And you could pretend, you know, I got the check, you know. Was the check going to be $5? Things were cheap then. Yeah, and then that's the way you would do it. Oh, he's got money. That guy's got money. Or else they wouldn't want to hang with you. And that's the way I did it. So don't forget, when I made that 50G when I was 18 years old, I was like Getty, the richest guy in the world. So money's strength, just like the politicians. They get so much money, and that's all they want is power. That's all it is about power.
So Frank, I recall a few years back you telling me a story about you and Mikey Switek stealing a trailer full of women's cosmetics. Can you tell us about that?
We stole a trailer load of, half of the load was Max Factor lipstick. I believe at the time they could put 500 tubes of lipstick in a case like this. You know how big lipsticks are. Try to go buy, I don't buy lipstick for myself, but if a person goes buys lipstick, it's like $15, $20, or $30 for a little tube. Back then, if it was $5, $6, it's a lot of money. So this guy, his name, we used to call him Sarge or Skeets. He was a friend of Tony's. And how I met this guy, he was a truck guy here, and Tony used to steal with him. So Tony introduced me to him because I had a load of postage stamps. We used to rob post offices and steal their stamps. And the Skeets, they come on blocks like this big. And Skeets would give us a penny a stamp. It's a lot of money. So then he said to me one day, we can't close. He said, listen, I got a guy that's a dispatcher at a terminal on the south side. He gives us scores. He says, you guys got tractors and trailers? You got access to them? We said, yeah. He said to me, I said, yeah. He said, when the guy comes up with a good score, you want in on it? I said, yeah. He said, I got a driver. He said, we'll protect the truck and the driver as it leaves the lot. He'll hook it up and everything when it's ready. I said, okay. Now, these trucks come from all over the world, whatever, the trailers, and they drop them in these terminals. So I guess this contact on dispatcher says, they know what the bill of lading and all that stuff, how much is in that truck, what's in there. And he said half of the load is Max Factor lipstick. So Skeets tells us, he says it's going to be there 4 days. Then they're going to pick it up. We got to move on it. I says, you got a driver? He's, yeah, his name is, I said, what's his name? He said, Dulber. I don't know who this guy is. He does a lot of hijacking for us. I said, okay. He says, there's going to be another guy in this car. His name is James Tortorello. He's an up-and-coming gangster. At that time, Tortorello was not a made guy, but he was heavily involved with the organization, the outfit. And I often wonder why they fill us in, because I think I come to the conclusion that we did a lot of truck hijacking, Mikey and I, out of terminals. We had dispatchers too, but we weren't stealing max factors. One time, I'm going to cut off a little bit. We stole like 3,600 Sunbeam toasters. What the hell are you going to do with 3,600 Sunbeam toasters? We sold them. Vacuum cleaners. Like 1,600 of them. Brrr. I heard them in my dreams. Brrr, brrr. We sat on them for like 6 months. You know, TVs, up the ass. You sell TVs like crazy. Colored TVs. Truckloads of them. We made a lot of money, but now this max factor comes in. So we got a reputation. We hook up, this guy hooks it up. We get the tractor. We follow him. We bring it to our yard. We change the hub on the wheel. They got hubs on the wheels. Tells you the mileage. Because when they find that truck, they're going to go in a radius. That's what the feds do. They check it out by the miles that's on them wheels. So we take the hub off there and rechange it with another one. Get rid of all the markings on the truck. Now the truck still isn't reported missing. Now this is when I met Delbert. Truly met him. They come back to pick up the truck with their own cab. He said, we got it sold. We got to park it a little while, exchange. So they take the truck. Okay. 4 days you'll have your money. We already knew what was in there. We went in there, of course. We checked. There was this beautiful boxes, half of the truck. And we're going to make over $500,000. They're easy. We're in good shape. Mikey and I are dancing around like two peacocks, you know. 3 weeks go by. Not. I call up Skeets. What happened? We had a little issue. Everything's going to be all right. Everything's going to be all right. Okay. I know Tony's hanging with a guy at that time by the name of Tortorello. So Tony lived in Oak Park. He just bought this home. So I went out there and I said, Tony, I got an issue, a problem. He said, what is it? I should tight with Turk? He said, yeah. And then I told him about the load. He said, you were in on that? I said, yeah. You were in on it? I said, yeah. What the fuck, is it a big deal? He's off, I'll get to the bottom of it. I said, all right. Week later, he gets back to me. He says, you lost that load. What do you mean? We got muscle on that load? He's not. A guy, Delbert, got busted. He was driving it out of the state, and they busted him with the load. He says, so you lose the load. I said, I didn't see nothing in the paper. He told me the county, it was out of Illinois. Well, I got to let it go. I got to believe him, right? So I told Mikey, we lose. This is what happened. Come to find out that this Delbert, when he got busted with the load, he rolls. He becomes a government informant, and they give him a wire. Now, you know, I'm a small-time crook at that time in his eyes. They went to top guys, right? But they need a lot of information. His say is not going to do any good. They need him to set these guys up a little heavier. You know, you can't just say, well, he went with me and he killed this guy and that guy. You got to have corroborating evidence. And he was cooperating. So we knew he was cooperating. So the best thing you want to do is not stay involved with this guy or inquire too much. It's like opening up a can of worms. Well, they find out the outfit that he's cooperating. And they find out also that his wife is encouraging him. I don't know this is happening. I find out a lot of this later. So they follow him from court one day. He goes to court. They had to do all that bullshit, you know, going to court. And they're following him in a van. Frankie Calabrese's brother, Nicky, Jerry Scarpelli, the sliding doors on the van. They see them come out of the courthouse or whatever. And they got a follow-up car, too. You don't just go with one vehicle. You always got a follow-up car. So they get alongside of the car with Delbert and his wife. They slide open the side door. Shotguns. Boom, boom, boom. Shoot them both. The car goes off the road. They go off the road with them. They jump out of the car, the van, and they kill them. Jump in and they leave. I didn't know that these guys were involved in that killing then. And they killed that Delbert then. So no, they had the information, the feds, but they can't do nothing with it, you know. And I never got bothered. I had nothing to do with that. So that's where the 500G went. The max factor, government wound up with it, and that's it.
Okay, Frank, Lee Scarf's second part of his question. He wants to know, what was Joe Pesci like? He says, we love the guy and thinks that he acts the best at that type of lifestyle, meaning gangster. What do you think?
Joe Pesci was a great guy. He overreacts, he overacted. He'd done what he thought the people thought would really go on in real life. He swore a lot, and we all swore, but not as much as he did in the movie. And I had a little problem with Pesci on his set. Not a problem, really. He plays a lot. He teases a lot. He didn't like to be teased. So Don Rickles, when he came on the set, Pesci said to me, oh, here comes this guy. He's a ball buster, this guy. I got to get away from this guy. I said, what do you like? I said, you're a ball buster too. He said, yeah, but this guy's cold-blooded. But then they became, tight. Comedians are jealous of one another. All movie stars are, actually. So we're on a set, and this beautiful Puerto Rican girl comes on. So I'm standing there with Scorsese, De Niro, and Pesci. So Pesci wants his wife, I didn't know it was his wife, to get in the movie. This is the way this operates. So he's going to introduce her to Scorsese. So how's Marty going to tell him no, right? You still got to go to a casting director and all that baloney. So he brings her on and he introduces her to everybody. He don't introduce her to me. I'm looking at him, like I was invisible. And it sort of aggravated me, right? So Marty says, yeah. Talk to Joe Reed, he tells Pesci's wife. He'll put you on. She played that scene, the Ace Rothstein show.
Sasha Seminoff Orchestra and the Sam Rothstein Dancers.
When she introduced, took 22 takes. 22 takes. Marty was going to fire her. So after that, I told him, why didn't you introduce me? What do you think I was going to make a move with your old lady? What was I going to call you? Frank the Rat? I said, what'd you say? And he seen it. Now, he was only busting balls. I said, I'll talk to you later. I didn't want to embarrass him. Later, I waited for him. I wasn't going to let this go. So I sat on this concrete wall. And I know I had to walk this way to his trailers. He had 4 bodyguards. They all had bodyguards. Except me, I should have 10. But I didn't want any. So I walked to his trailer, and this guy sees me. Hey, how you doing? I tell them guys you're with, keep on walking. And they'd hesitate. I said, Joe, I will stack them up like a brick wall over here. I want to talk to you. Do you understand? He told him, keep on going. He walks over me. He sits on the concrete ledge with me. I don't care if they can dispute it all they want. I know what I said to the guy. I said, listen, I didn't appreciate what you said to me. I've made this statement several times before to wise guys, wannabe guys. You only play the character I am. If you ever call me a name like that again, in playing, I will rip one of your eyeballs out of your head. Do you understand that, Joe? Well, I didn't mean that, but I'm so sorry, Frankie. I said, there's no problem. Now that we got it all straightened away. I said, I was highly embarrassed. I'm glad there was nobody else standing there when you said that to me. I could have started screaming at you, but I give you respect. I shouldn't have, but I did. Never happened again. After that, we took pictures. He'd always come and look for me. He'd drive his car. He drove himself around. He'd see me walk into my car. Come on, hop in. I'll give you a ride. Hop in. We turned out to be friends. you know, we turned out to be friends. I like Joe.
Okay, Frank, this is the third part to Lee Scarf's question. He said, I also hear Vegas was better back then and run better and safer for the general public. Last question. Did you know anyone who was under Frank Nitti or Joe Batters?
Know anybody that was under them? Of course I did. Jack Cerrone, Joey Aiuppa. Of course I did. I would probably know most of them guys better than I would know Joe Batters, Tony Arcaro, because they were top of the notch, you know. And I couldn't touch them guys, you know. They were important people. It's like walking up to the president of the United States, for Christ's sake. I think I'm about done talking to you people. Enjoy my cup. Just having coffee with Cullotta. Hope you have a wonderful day.